and picking our theme even further and providing inspiration for our student artists. And if we can change the slide. Fantastic. So, launched in October 2019, the Student Art Prize attracted over 70 artist submissions, 20 of which were shortlisted. And in a change of plans from our planned physical exhibition, they are now displayed online as part of Durham University's annual Summer Arts Festival, Summer in the City, at www.sitcfestival.org.uk. And if we can change the slide again. Excellent, thank you. Next, we're going to move on to our new theme. So the theme for last year's prize was diversity, a subject that was chosen to allow a wide range of exploration and conceptualization by the artists, and a reference perhaps to the lack of diversity within some traditional canons of art history. Our new theme for this year is heroism, partly inspired by the events of this year so far, but also a theme we hope will provide ample inspiration for our artists. I would now like to introduce Professor Stefano Crocchivici. Stefano is Professor of Art and Literature at Durham University, and it's my pleasure to hand over to him now.
Well, thank you, Alex, very much, and welcome everybody. I'm here with Durham University alumnus Richard Roberts, the Student Art Prize's general sponsor. And I am delighted, Richard, I must say, that you have kindly agreed to answer some of my questions this evening. Now, I know you collect art. So can you tell us what is the place of art in your life, or what role art plays in your life?
Thank you, and good evening, everyone. Lovely to see so many here. I grew up in the Lake District, where you are surrounded by natural arts, the lakes, the hills, the cult of the picturesque. My parents didn't have any art in any sense in the house. There were a couple of black and white photographs that my father had taken of sheep dipping, but that was the extent of the family's view on art. But they were exceptionally good and took me to as many galleries, museums, historic houses through my teenage years as time and funds permitted. Then I came here to Durham and was faced with 3 years in John's, the cathedral on my doorstep. And gradually I got to really appreciate looking at works of art. And over my life, I've been fortunate to travel the world. I've done art galleries from the traditional, like the British, like the National Gallery, through to the forbidden art of Soviet Russia. But you can probably see behind me, I have an interesting and eclectic view of art. It can be a reminder of something precious, a reminder of some really good time in life. It can be a reminder of something sinister and difficult. It's something to contemplate. It's something to arrest the brain, to send your imagination off into creativity. Art, to me, is a solace. It's an escape. It's humour or sadness. You can probably tell from the ones behind me that there's very lovely Claude Harrison of a Piero standing on a table overlooking Morecambe Bay. Bizarre in the extreme, but it reminds me of home. It reminds me of clowning about and being all with the life and soul of the party. Up in the top corner, there's a character walking out in darkness into the sea. One of my friends thought that was somebody looking for a lost dog. I'm convinced it's somebody with stones in their pockets going out to commit suicide. And that reminds me of a very dark period of my life. Art is something you should look at and contemplate. I'm lucky now I have a bit more time on my hands, and quietly contemplating a painting or a sculpture or a photograph is one of the real desert island luxuries that I enjoy.
Okay, well then plenty of hints also for our students. And why do you feel art is important at Durham?
One of the things I noticed more than ever when I moved back 2 years ago was the real stress students felt under. I was here 40 years ago as a student, and yes, we worked hard, but we played hard. Nowadays, students work hard, play hard, but there seems to me always an aura of stress about them. And I'd like students to start taking time out to look at art, to embrace it, to find it enhances their life. They're educating that part of their brain that isn't being formally educated by their course at the university. And there are two aspects. I am not creative in the slightest extreme, but I do appreciate interesting art. So for the viewer, there is, what do you see? Are you challenged? Stop and think about something. And then we are so fortunate in a university that doesn't teach art in the accepted sense to have so many creative students. And for the creator of the image, it's a real opportunity to take time out, to get away from essays, seminars, trying to fight for a place in the Bill Bryson Library, whatever. It's an opportunity to use mind, hands, vision, and create something that they can be proud of.
Well, actually, we are incredibly fortunate to have you, because I do have to announce that Richard has confirmed his support of the prize for the next 12 years. So, Richard, why have you chosen to support and develop the art prize?
I've always wanted to do something for the university. And I'm not a sportsman, I'm not a musician. I do a lot for St John's, but St John's is only part of the wider university. And a chance conversation at the Vice-Chancellor's party a year ago kicked this off. And I offered to do it for the first year and see if it was a success. It has been a huge success. I am astounded at the quality of the art we have seen just this year. I was also struck by the response of the prize winners. It was humbling in the extreme to get emails and messages from them. And so I'd really like to expand this prize. I'd like to involve more alumni. I'd like to see us go into ceramics, into sculpture, into photography. In an idle moment, I was rummaging around the internet as I do, and I see Reading University does an interesting competition for outdoor sculpture that you can mount on small plinths. We've got all this wonderful outdoor space. Wouldn't it be marvellous to create a sculpture prize that could go, sculpture competition that could lead to a prize to have something exhibited on plinths around the university? In time, I would love this art theme to become the equivalent of Team Durham as that is to sport.
Terrific. And of course, can you confirm the awards for this year's prize, Richard?
Yes, when we set this up, I wanted to create the prize level at something that was really significant for students. So again, this year, the first prize is £1,500, second prize £1,000, third prize £500. We started the People's Prize Award last year, the popular vote, and there'll be £250 for that prize winner. There'll be two highly commendeds at £100 each. The People's Prize and the first prize winner Also, I'm dealing with the framing of those and the admission into the Western Art Collection. And I'm hoping with some of my connections to get one or two goodies, one or two little extras, a trip behind the scenes of one of the major art galleries in the UK, or the odd masterclass. I'd like there to be something practical to come out of this as well.
Wonderful idea, great. Well, last year, despite the circumstances, was quite a sensational event. I'm sure you agree. Do you have a highlight from last year, Richard?
I do. I think the real highlight was the response of the winner. And I know that Alice is going to talk in a minute or two, but seeing her response on screen when we announced the results, and then being in email communication with her, and realising just what this had meant, I really did think this is such a significant way of helping student life in Durham that I have to go forward and sponsor it for a lot longer period, making it a significant event. This would not have gone forward had it not been for the way in which the prize winners have responded.
Well, I have a final question, but I can't resist asking it. Why is this year's theme heroism?
I think this year we've all had to be heroes. Heroism comes in many forms. It's human and personal. It can be nature. It can be man versus elements, man in discovery, man versus construction. I think this year particularly, all of us have faced huge challenges. I live alone. I have no blood family nearer than a second cousin. There are times when one fights a heroic battle against depression or loneliness. We're all heroes at the moment, so we should all be thinking about how we interpret that. Later on, we're going to hear from others about how they would interpret heroism. But I thought it was a very fitting subject for this year, but it's capable of being interpreted in a huge variety of ways. So I'm enormously privileged to support this, to look forward to another wonderful year, and to many years of announcing themes for the next 12 years.
I'm very delighted to hear that. And yes, indeed, this year's theme is really fitting, as you said. Well, thank you, Richard, for your insight and of course, continued generosity in supporting the prize.
Thank you.
Without further ado, I would like to hand over to Alex again, who will be speaking with Alice Stubbins.
There we go. Thank you very much, Stefan and Richard. Great to hear more about your inspiration and your passion for art. I would now like to introduce Alice Stubbings. Alice is currently a second-year law student and won first place in our inaugural art prize last year with her artwork Hands of Acceptance. Alice, are you unmuted? Can you speak with us?
I think so. Hello. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Alice. Lovely to see you digitally. Can you tell us a little bit more about Hands of Acceptance and why you made the artwork?
Well, as soon as I saw that there was an art competition going ahead at Durham, art's always been something that I've always loved to do. And I couldn't really, when I moved to university, the opportunity to participate in art outside my degree was fantastic. And the theme of diversity, I think, is just something that's so subjective, but also relates to everyone. So like everybody has a different stance, and it was really nice to express my thoughts on the theme through my artwork. I've always been someone who's quite quiet. I struggle with words, so it's nice to be able to express how I feel in such a way. So in the last year, for example, the Black Lives Matter movement, that's been an increasingly prominent way of communicating, and especially here in Durham, more locally, there's recently been an article about Northern students and different groups within the university. And as a Northern student myself, I related to the article, and I think it's a really nice way of promoting diversity within the university, because it really is something that's so important. So it's nice to have two things that we felt really passionate about within the one competition.
Fantastic, thank you. And I think what we'd all like to know is, what did it feel like to win first place?
Incredible. I couldn't believe that one. I didn't expect it at all. I'm just so grateful, really, for everything that's come out of it. Like, everybody has been so nice, and it's really gave me a lot of confidence in my ability as well, because I never dreamed that I would ever win. So yeah, it was an incredible feeling.
Fantastic. And do you have any words of advice for this year's students?
I think if you're on the borderline of not knowing whether to apply or not, or if you should give it a go, I think you should absolutely go for it. I never dreamed of even being shortlisted, so it just shows that it doesn't matter like how you feel about your artwork, just go ahead and enter it. You don't know what will come from it. And I would say to play to your strengths. So if there's a particular media that you really prefer, then I would go with that. And also try and think about what the theme means to you personally, because I feel like if something means something to you, it really comes across on to other people too when you draw the image.
Thank you. And my final question for you is, do you have any thoughts or suggestions as to how you would personally approach the theme this year?
Well, Mr. Richard Roberts has just really outlined basically exactly how I felt. I think it's a very apt theme for this year. I would focus personally on some of the things that I think come with this year. For example, the NHS and key workers have been very heroic in my opinion, and also like Sir Captain Tom Moore. I don't know if you saw him in the news, but he really inspired me. So actions like that, I think I would focus on more than anything.
Fantastic, excellent words of advice there. Thank you very much, Alice. It's been lovely to speak with you.
You too.
Yes, Alice, we do remember your expression when you found out that you were the winner last year. Richard is right. It was indeed a highlight of the first version of the prize, the first year. So now we move on to our curator speak, and we ask each of the university collection curators to select one favorite object from their collections and explain its relation to our theme of heroism. And here are the results.
Good evening. My name is Gemma Lewis, and one of my roles is as the curator of the Durham Castle Museum, and this is my curator's pick around heroism. There are stories around heroism all around Durham Castle. It's part of the very fabric of the building. Whether this is the 17th century organ which is instated in the Tunstall Chapel and dedicated to those who fell during the First World War, or whether it is the reconsecrated and restored Norman Chapel which is in honour of the RAF who were stationed at Durham Castle during the Second World War. Some of the stories we know about, some we're yet to discover. Some stories are part of the collection, some are part of the fabric, some are real and some are fictional. And there are some themes and some stories which are overlooked. And tonight I just want to highlight one of those overlooked items. This is an oil painting by Paolo de Matteis, which is signed and dated 1719. It's entitled Clorindo and Olindo. The scene which it shows comes from a popular 16th century book by Torquato Tasso, and the poem is entitled Jerusalem Delivered, which was first published in 1581. It's based around a poem in which, in this scene, we see the fictional character of Clorinda, a warrior woman of the Saracen army, arriving on her horse to save the lovers Sofrano and Olindo, who are about to be burned at the stake. When the king of Jerusalem threatened to execute the whole Christian community for the theft of a sacred image, Sofrano took the responsibility on herself to save the others. Her beloved, Olindo, then claimed to be the thief to save her. Both were condemned. Impressed by the young couple's courage, Clorinda saved them from the fire by offering to fight for the king in the coming battle with the Crusaders. In this scene, we see Clorinda riding up on her horse with a plumed helmet, a bellowing dress and armour. She's come to argue the couple's case. It's one of those paintings that people have walked past for years and never noticed. And that's just why I wanted to highlight it tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Rachel Barclay, Curator of the Oriental Museum. My curator's pick on the theme of heroism is a Japanese film poster. Japan has one of the oldest and largest film industries in the world, and Japanese film posters are as unique as Japan's film industry. Reflecting the distinctive Japanese design aesthetic, the posters have become collector's items in their own right. Love for their bold designs, be they impassioned, complex, playful, or sometimes just disturbing. And over recent years, the Oriental Museum has built up a collection of Japanese film posters. Tonight, I want to focus on one poster featuring this character, Godzilla. There is no more iconic symbol of Japanese popular culture than Godzilla, Gojira. In the 1950s, Japan led the world in the creation of new film special effects. Produced in 1954, the first Godzilla film is regarded, rightly in my opinion, as a masterpiece of the sci-fi genre, and remains beloved of fans across the world. In the aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Godzilla was originally conceived as a metaphor for nuclear weapons and their destructive harm. But as the series has gone on, Godzilla has been portrayed in different lights. As a destructive monster that unwittingly defends humanity from an even greater threat, or even as a hero. Over time, Godzilla films moved from being aimed at adults to become fun films aimed at children and families. From his early role as the enemy of humanity, Godzilla became man's friend. This poster is for the 8th instalment in the Toho Company series of Godzilla films, dating to 1967, and the artwork is just wonderful. I love it. In the story, a team of scientists are trying to perfect a weather control system. The tests go awry, and their radioactive balloon detonates, creating a radioactive storm that causes the island's giant praying mantises to grow to enormous size. The monstrous insects find an egg, and from this hatches baby Godzilla, Minilla. A growing Minilla then saves one of the scientists when she is attacked by the giant mantis, but also accidentally awakens Kumonga, a giant spider. Godzilla and his son must then work together to defeat the spider. This amazing poster is full of detail. Each of the film's major characters is represented with their name written by them. The edges of the poster are even decorated with the film's theme tune. The writing in red at the top left tells us what to expect. There are lots of monsters on Monster Island. Use the help of Papa Godzilla to beat the bad monsters. Minilla is everyone's friend. A far cry from the handsome classical image of a hero, but in this artwork, Godzilla is the hero.
My name is Alex Collingwood-Swinburne, Curator for Western Art at Durham University. Today I will be talking to you about an artwork called 89 Ways You Are Worth More to Me Like This by artist Lady Kit. Kit's work is often described as socially engaged, which means that they often create work in collaboration with others. Alongside the feminist curator Michaela Wetherell, Kit was a founding member of Nasty Women North East and has even published a feminist magazine for children. 89 Ways You Are Worth More to Me Like This is from a series of works called Worth. Lady Kit has been creating the series over the last few years, originally inspired by the feminist author and activist Caroline Criado Perez, who back in 2017 campaigned for the new Bank of England £10 note to feature Jane Austen's image. The works created by Kit are all hand-cut and feature love heart shapes cut out from £50 banknotes. Each one depicts a portrait of a woman that Kit feels is particularly influential or is somebody that should be celebrated. Some of the subjects are really well known, and as the artist grew up in County Durham and now lives in Newcastle, many of the portraits feature women from the North East. 89 Ways You're Worth More to Me Like This is a portrait of Professor Charlotte Roberts in the Archaeology Department at Durham University. Kit made the artwork for an exhibition held in Durham in 2018 as part of the Art Durham Arts Festival. The Worth series highlights fields in which women and non-binary people are still underrepresented and experience discrimination. By defacing the banknote, Kit is suggesting equality should take priority over patronage. Kit keeps the cut-out hearts displayed inside a miniature bottle, perhaps in reference to their newfound worth of symbols of love and respect.
Well, it is fantastic indeed to see these works from the collection, and I have to thank the curators for their choice to allow us to make a little tour around the world, showing indeed from Naples to Japan and back to Durham how international our collection is. Hopefully they have provided some inspiration to our budding student artists. I will now hand over to Emily and Katie, who will be answering some of your frequently asked questions about applying for the Art Prize.
Hello. I think you will agree that our photo that we picked is amazing. So my name's Emily Dowler.
And I'm Katie Braithwaite. We both work with the art collection, and you'll probably come in contact with us if you have any queries about the Art Prize. We work behind the scenes where you'll find us answering the art collection email, filing your submission forms, and asking you for more information.
So Katie and I looked at some of the previous questions that we received last year, and we thought it'd be helpful to run through some of the more frequently asked questions. For example, you'll hear about a new thing that we're doing this year, which is the Art Prize Art School. And this is going to be running throughout the year to encourage and inspire and support any students that are interested in applying. This will include workshops and artist talks and behind the scenes tours, all COVID permitting. So you just want to check the website for updates. So Katie has picked the top 5 questions that we've been asked this year or last year, and I'm going to try my best to answer them. So Katie.
Do you have to be an artist to apply?
No, you just don't have to be an artist to apply. We're encouraging any student and every student to apply. You can be a complete novice, you can be a professional artist. Last year we had submissions from undergrads, postdoctorates, students studying anthropology, history, computer sciences, biology, law, business management, psychology, to name a few. So anyone can apply.
I want to submit a sculpture, performance work, or film. Can I submit work that is not 2D?
So we're accepting works in any medium. If you want to submit a work that is 3-dimensional, a performance or a film, then you just need to consider how the judging panel will view the work. So for example, if it's a sculpture, it might need to be submitted as photograph or a drawing, or a performance that might need to be filmed.
Do I need to be a student to apply?
Yes, this is the Student Art Prize. So you need to be a current student at Durham University. You can be at any level in your education, as long as you're a registered university student.
Can I submit as a group or collaboratively?
Yes, so you can submit work that you've created with others. However, all named individuals on the application must be Durham University students. And any prizes need to be shared equally among the applicants that are named.
What does heroism mean?
Right, so a formal definition from the dictionary says that it's heroic conduct, especially as exhibited in fulfilling a high purpose or attaining a noble end, or the qualities of a hero. But the art prize theme can be interpreted however you would like to interpret it. So feel free to create artwork based on your own unique experiences, expectations or opinions. Katie and I have actually made a scrapbook filled with inspirational images. Some are from the university's own library and collections. So you can find those on the website.
Brilliant, thank you. So those are my top 5. You can find more frequently asked questions on the Student Art Prize page. If you have any other questions, then you can get in contact with Emily or myself via artcollection@durham.ac.uk. No question is too big or too small.
Fantastic, thank you. I had one more little quick question for Emily, if she doesn't mind.
Oh no.
What happens to the prize-winning artwork? Does something special happen?
What happened to the prize-winning artwork? Oh, that's a very good question, Alex. So the prize-winning work becomes part of the collection, and you can actually see Alice's work displayed. We're going to be installing it this week, print of it outside of the Bill Bryson Library. So when you're queuing in the rain to get into the library, you'll be able to see Alice's work along with some of the other students' work from last year.
Fantastic, thank you. And thank you to Katie also for those FAQs. So that concludes our more formal part of the evening. Before we move on to our fun creative workshops, before we do though, I'll have a quick recap. As a reminder, the theme for this year is heroism. The deadline for submissions is the 15th of February 2021, so we have loads of time to apply. More information on the prize, the submission process, and our Art Prize Art School can be found at www.durham.ac.uk/art.collection. And I think somebody will be posting that up in the chat soon. If you'd like to find out more about our programmes, visual arts at the university, or our art collection, please do get in touch with artcollection@durham.ac.uk. Alternatively, I will be giving a Durham-inspired Live in Lockdown Zoom talk about the art collection, our current projects and our future ambitions on the 3rd of December. Please visit www.dunelm.org.uk/events to register and find out more about the events in the Durham Inspired series.